איחור משמעותי של 3.5 דקות. תסלח לנו על זה. בבקשה.
תודה. I hope that today it will be possible for me to speak in Hebrew, because I like very much this language, and this is, I consider Israel a magic place, the center of the world. And it's very strange because from my childhood I feel I was baptized like Roman Catholic, but I was a special feeling with Hebrew culture, and it was not only that my friend was Dani, Rav Dani, but it's something unrational. When I return back in Prague, I go in ghetto, Jew ghetto, something like dream. Prague is a beautiful city. Welcome to Prague. Okay. Now, during the interval, I have received many questions, and I should like also officially to thanks for the excellent book for Professor Odeski, and I'm very happy because I have found in this book also the term hypnopedy. So this term now also in book now in Israel. What I like to underline is that seeing the demonstration, we must know that it's not possible with every person to receive this reaction, because there are differences. It's very interesting theoretical question why somebody can enter in very deep hypnotic state and why the other person cannot enter. And of course for us, for hypnotists, it's very important to find the answer, and because not, how I said before, in the field of the psychotherapy, but in the creative hypnosis and in other specialization of hypnology, is very important to can receive the state deeper and deeper. So the first thing is to create good expectation, which is the first thing. The second is to create a good relationship with patient. I think that it can be also like sympathy between person. Without sympathy, it's not possible to enter in a good relationship. It's something unconsciously what we find something very strong in other person, and we feel very well with this person in communication. And this communication is in all levels. And so the same thing is in hypnosis, because hypnosis is human relationship. Then, of course, it depends also from some factors like elasticity of nervous system, of psychic. Somebody is very rigid and his paranoia is closed. But it's very interesting, more somebody is closed and it seems very cold person, it can be something like defensive against the world. So sometimes it's a surprise for us to see that under this very defensive behavior quite almost aggressive. You can find very, very deep personality as far as sentiments, emotional reactions, and so on. And so we must find always how to can enter in this contact. I consider hypnosis and maybe all psychotherapy more like the art que the science. I consider the hypnology like a science, because in the hypnology we have scientific methodology. But the psychotherapy in hypnotic state, for me, is more something like the arts as science. And we must feel and be very with attention to can understand the drama of the person who is in front of us, and we listen, speak, listen, and something must happen during this magic relationship. And it's not question in the psychotherapy. Are you the majority of you psychotherapists? Who do psychotherapy? Hands up, please. And who practices, for example, hypnology in the sport? In the sport. At pedagogically. You? Okay. And the others are dentists, I think, and surgery and other. Okay. Now we can speak about linguistic method. I was very, for me, the stay in Moscow in Laboratory of Hypnology of Ministry of Health in the Institute of Preventive Medicine was very useful. Also the meeting with Dr. Rykov, because it was possible to observe the experiments. Also my meeting with Professor Lozanov in Bulgaria, and in base of this experience I very simply I prepared a research project, and this research project was based in 10 hypnotic sessions. Practically I begin this project 6 years ago, above all in former Czechoslovakia, in Soviet Union, and later, by the moment, not former Italy, but Italy. I have cases, about 153 cases that I report in my paper that I presented also in international congresses of hypnosis. Now I should like to describe this method. The hypothesis was that if we can understand psychodiagnostically the situation of our student, because the method is for foreign languages, we can facilitate and speed up the learning process of foreign languages. Firstly, I teach foreign languages, or with the help of some teacher of foreign languages, in hypnotic state, with some groups. But later I preferred to work individually. And I think that the mystery of success is in this individual work. You know that many students are at school, and we can say that in general school doesn't teach how to study. So somebody is able to find a method and can study and can have a good result, and the other person all the life have problems, a lot of problems. The teacher at school has very opinion about students, not deep, very superficial, and logically the approach is standard, almost for every student the same. Then the students receive a bad results and classification at school, and can create in his mind the opinion or the imagine of himself that is bad student, that has no talent for foreign languages, for example. For me, during this supper was very satisfaction that this beautiful girl said to me, how you can speak good Russian? Is it true? I confess you that I was always the last student in class in Russian. And I had many problems with this language, because this was also a social problem in Czechoslovakia, because we didn't like to study Russian. Because was this under Soviet Union, my country, and so it was the language of something not so. I consider Russian language very nice, but in that time it was something like, for example, in Hungary all students learned Russian, but nobody was able to speak on shopping in Russian. So this was something I have received from my school, this suggestion that I have no talent for foreign languages. And then during the life, traveling and so on was necessary to study. I don't speak no language I speak well, but I can communicate. And so these social suggestions are very, very dangerous for us, because we consider our parents like a big, great authority for us, then teacher at school, and then our results. 3 elements. And these 3 elements can create in our mind block. And during the exam we are blocked because this limit is so we cannot superride this limit. So I try with my method in the first part very deeply to know the personality with the use of psychodiagnostic tests and linguistic tests, and to can find the reason of this unsuccess at school. And on the basis of results of psychodiagnosis, I can create a psychotherapy strategy. This strategy I said that I do 10 sessions, so it's standard this method. And the first is relaxation. I teach how to do relaxation. I teach how to do a gesture of self-hypnosis, very easy. Finger with this gesture can enter in hypnotic state, and with this gesture can turn it back in the ordinary state. So practically the subject is completely independent, and he must work at home alone, also with the help of cassettes. Then, following sessions, I do age regression, because very often I have people that before had studied foreign languages, so I try to do the activation of memory traces. And I think that many of you can know the research work of Swedish psychologist us, that, for example, with the age regression has received a good result. However, in general, we can say that results are very controversial. Somebody receives good results, other person not good results. But the science is so. And how I do this activation of memory traces. For example, I put my hand on the head of the subject. I work very much with hands, with all my body, with eyes, with hands, but above all with my heart, because that I consider the most important. And I do a suggestion that now you can feel very strong energy. My hand become even more warm and warm, and that can facilitate this process of activation of memory traces. And with the age regression, practically I do very similar things like with our colleague. He was hypnotized before. And practically I start from the first word he learned at school. I ask, now remember the first word, for example, in English, and from this moment I should like to hear all words, grammar, and so on. And so we have all like a film in our mind, in the unconscious mind, and so we can recall the knowledge again out from and to use it. In the case that I didn't use my hand, I can also put some objects, for example, of metal subject on the front of the hand, or the head, on the head. And this can be the same effect, something like energy. I know that very often in psychology or pranotherapists speak about energy here, energy there, and energy is the term of physics. The only thing what is energy is that my hand is warm, and so is a thermical energy that I send. Hypnotically we can of course, to give a special suggestion that this thermical energy can bring something positively to the body, for example, to have a big power and to be strong. And the following session, I do suggestion, for example, like you can memorize very well all new words, and I try to create in the mind of my patient something like the obsession for foreign languages. I know very well that we are under this stimulation all the day, and so I must create something very, very strong. I work with the motivation, with the will, with above all with the emotions, because emotions is something that can completely change the situation in the subject. And therefore I said before about the contact with the girl, with love, because it can be very, very important, something like stimulation for learning, for example, foreign languages. Then, always in hypnotic state, I explain grammar, or alone, or with the help of teacher of foreign languages, and the right pronunciation. What is interesting that in generally at school we use pronunciation. We speak about Czech Republic, so we speak English with the Czech pronunciation, and almost is something like fear to speak more than like English, and the fear that I will be considered at school like something strange and too extreme. In the hypnotic state, the person is very free, and he can take this role and repeat exactly what can listen on the tape or from the teacher. Then I say that my patient must at home listen cassettes every day, and sometimes when it's possible I use video cassettes, so I can enter every day at home of my patient and he can see me on TV, and so the contact is very, very close, and she feel me like something stimulation that must go and continue studying of this language. What is very important is the capacity to think in foreign languages. You can see here two triangles that represents two languages. The first triangle is the mother tongue, and the second is a foreign language. I ask to the subject to choose what color he prefers, and I ask, how do you see your mother tongue? And he answers me, for example, red. Okay, so this is your mother tongue. Then I say, and how do you see your, for example, in the case of English, English. And for example, green. And this system is better like system before. When I say now you are, for example, Italian, because in any moment the patient can return back in the mother tongue. So it is completely free. And this is the mental model that students must memorize, completely memorize, and to have on his mind. And it's like something hypnotic induction with imagination of this mental model. He can go from mother tongue in the foreign language and eliminate completely the mother tongue and enter here. And here you can see also very well that on the beginning the knowledge is very very small, and then slowly it became always more and more until the complete domination of foreign language. And I do suggestion as such, when you can enter in this triangle, green triangle, you can think only in this foreign language without to be disturbed from mother tongue. And all is very easy, something similar like we have seen before during the practice demonstration. In the case that subject can speak more languages, I teach this cycle of other languages. You can see here also Ivrit in the first place. Ivrit, Česky, pa-rusky, pa-polsku, pa-svenska, Czech, Espanol, English, Italiano, Français, Netherlands, Deutsch. So, also with more complex, practically then also for distinguish many languages, because it's very difficult sometimes to distinguish very quickly and to pass, for example, from Italian to Spanish. They are very, very similar, or from Czech to Poland and so on. So I consider this mental model very useful and very, very good to can, then it's enough only to imagine a flash of color, and I can enter into reality of language that I choose. I ask my students to elaborate this model and to have at home and to memorize. Then also very often I ask to prepare some scriptures on the table and everywhere in the kitchen to like manifest. This was very often in communist countries. We must work good and so on. So something like suggestion to be in contact every day, in every moment with this reality. Because the mystery of foreign language is to be in contact with this language, to be under the influence and to repeat. To study the foreign languages is really very easy. And it was a surprise for me, for example, to find in manual of Hebrew on the base of Russian language the phrase that Hebrew is difficult. When the student on the first page see that Hebrew is difficult, it's the first obstacle, suggestion, yes, it's the first negative suggestion. So, but in the reality, to study foreign language is very easy. Why? Because fundamental words we repeat all the time. all the time. And we repeat, we can reinforce these words. More difficult is the philosophy or the history, because in these matters are new facts, and so it's difficult. But to study foreign languages is very easy. But what is difficult for us? To be like a child. Above all, when, for example, we are 36, 40, 50 years old, we have a good job, a profession very high, we are considered by other people. And for example, we didn't study in the past time, for example, English. And now English is the language, the number one on the world. And of course, for personality, such personality can be very difficult to become a little child in reality, because we are like on the beginning oligophrenic. They was not able to do. For example, when I came in airport of Tel Aviv, I have taken a taxi, and the taxi almost was not able to speak in English and no other language, and for me it was necessary to communicate with him. So it was very funny. So it's very necessary to, with humility, to receive our role to be a children on the beginning, independent of our titles and our position, social position. To be very true, because in other way we are blocked. So we must do all the possible to eliminate in other part the inferiority complex, when, for example, we have no consideration of ourselves, and in the same time, what is also danger is very high perfectionism. Because if, for example, I come here with the necessity to speak absolutely correctly, so I can let you here go away, it's not possible. But if I take the way that what is important is to communication, and to and this what unite us, this enthusiasm for hypnosis, change completely the situation. So, for example, I find both problems on my patients. On the other hand, very high perfectionism. On the other hand, complexes of inferiority. So it's all kind of work of techniques to do ego stronger and stronger, or on the contrary, not on the contrary, but to work to eliminate this extreme perfectionism, this extreme desire to do a comparison with other person, he is better. I see, you must accept you, how is, because also in the normal life, some children are able to improve very quickly a foreign mother tongue, and the other children slowly. And I think it's very necessary to be able to accept our limits, also our limits. To do all the possible to eliminate, this is possible, but it's not possible. If, for example, my temperament is very slow, I cannot do something against me to be very quickly, and on the contrary. And unfortunately, all system of education is a big violence to other. Our society is based still from the school That must be the first, the best, so on. Before it was in the field of ethics. Torah, the best of God. The New Testament speaks about what, a religion discussion. But firstly was this very strong accent about ethics, and he is not good, so he was out, eliminated. Now in this modern society is the influence the best, reach and image and so on. It's something very limited for us because we are not free, absolutely not free. We are living something like a sclavitude, very strong, because it's very necessary to be spontaneous, to be himself. And only in such a way we can develop all our talents, what we have, and all possibilities, what are inside. So practically, this is concept of the psychoactivated linguistic method. I didn't speak about hypnosis because I know that many person has this problem that refuse this fear of hypnosis. So it's not necessary to speak about hypnosis because, how I said before, I don't know in reality what hypnosis is exactly and when starts, when finish. So it's conditioning of human mind, how the subject will. I cannot do nothing against the will of my subject, nothing. Even, for example, he, during very deep hypnotic state, if I ask something against him very radically, he can refute, even being in very deep hypnosis. And when somebody tell you, no, I have these cases, and in these cases was possible to, for example, do a criminal in hypnosis, or to do, for example, to take off dress and so on. My answer is that it's not for hypnosis, but for psychopathological system in the mind of this person, but absolutely not thanks of hypnosis. Hypnosis is other things. So during hypnosis we are always conscious. Also he was completely unconscious all the time, and it's not possible to do no manipulation against the will, against the ethic system of the subject. Okay, so far about this method, and I should like to show you other inductions, and then we can discuss, because, how I said before, I don't like to do a monologue here, but more discussion. During the interval I received so many questions, but it was not possible to answer because the interval was too short. And so now I should like to present a suggestion, always in the field of curative hypnosis, suggestion with music. And please come here, boy. No, please. And so it's by case that I ask you, is so? Or did you know me? Do you know? No, never. Never. And From where are you? Varsabatu. Okay, so I live in the house of okay. Very good. So you feel the music very much. Yeah? Did you be hypnotized? Were you hypnotized in the past time?
No.
No? Are you here with your husband or
No.
friend? No.
Friend for the book.
But did you participate in the course of hypnosis? Are you interested?
No.
Ah,
During
sure.
the
Mm. What's your definition of hypnosis?
It's complicated. It's a complicated question.
Very interesting. Are you born in Israel?
Yes.
And what other languages do you know?
Hebrew.
Two. Okay. Ja. So, wir können auch deutsche Sprache sprechen. Ja. Okay. Now, I ask to switch off the light on the hall. Do you like to do picture also? To paint? Yes, do you like?
I don't like, but I don't mind.
It's hypnotization without words.